Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you a 2012 team preview for the Oakland Raiders. So let's start with their offense to see what we can expect from the Raiders this season. Carson Palmer would go out there and prove that last year was an aberration. You have to give the guy credit. He came off the street, didn't know the playbook, went out there and played some solid football and actually kept the Raiders very competitive and pushing for a playoff berth at the end of the season. Now you give him a full offseason to work with new coaches, to work with his wide receivers, ever improving wide receivers, and you're going to see a better Carson Palmer this season. I can guarantee that. However, the battle between the backup quarterbacks will be one to watch this offseason. It's between Matt Leinart and Terrell Pryor. I give the edge to Terrell Pryor because he's younger, he's more athletic, he has the size that you want, and oh, by the way, he's actually better than Matt Leinart. So I think right now, if Carson Palmer were to go down, Terrell Pryor would give the Raiders the best chance to win. He's mobile, he'll fit in that play action scheme, and he can take those deep shots down the field. I think this guy is a very good prospect for the Raiders. The Raiders have one of the best backs in the league in Darren McFadden. His only issue is that he has to stay healthy. When he's out there, he's a breakaway threat, has the speed, and also is a valuable member of the passing game because he can catch football out of the backfield. So you wonder how well he's going to do in this new zone read offense. Is he that type of back? You look at when they had this offense before, he wasn't having as much success, but a lot of that could have been attributed to his injury history. But I think he's going to do fine no matter what offense he's going to be in. A true threat they have at the fullback position is Marcel Reese. This guy is a very underrated asset, very underrated player in the league. He has the speed to get deep down the field because he was a former wide receiver, and he provides instant matchup problems for linebackers. So this is a valuable weapon for the Oakland Raiders. Now I'm interested to see who's going to be the backup. They lose Michael Bush. You have Tywan Jones coming in. He has a lot of speed, and you also bring in Mike Goodson, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, and Goodson also has speed and can help you out in the return game and has great hands out of the backfield. His only issue is that he turns the ball over. He has to clear up his fumbling issues in order to be successful. What used to be a position of weakness is now quite possibly a position of strength. This is a very solid unit for the Oakland Raiders. Denarius Moore had a sensational rookie season last year, and he's looking to improve on those numbers in year 2 to avoid the sophomore slump. And I was also impressed with Darius Hayward-Bay last season. Came to play last year, finally, 975 yards receiving. Yes, he still catches the football with his chest and his forearms, but he still improved dramatically last season, and I'm looking to see how well he progresses this year. If he can continue to grow, then he's going to be a valuable asset to this passing offense. And Jacoby Ford is an explosive playmaker. He does a lot of his damage after the catch. When you get that ball in his hands quickly and he makes a few people miss, he is gone. That's a house call. He also can kill you in the return game. And I like the draft selection of Jaron Kreiner, a guy that has a 6'4" frame, does a great job of walling off defenders, knows how to use his body, and that's why he's able to come away with those acrobatic catches. That's going to help out that deep passing game a lot for the Oakland Raiders. Now, the tight end position lacks star power, but there's some solid, productive guys. Brandon Myers should step in as a starter, and also David Alsbury brings receiver-like skills to the position. So if both guys can just be productive, this unit will be very improved over last season. The Raiders have a very solid offensive line, in my opinion, and there's going to be some reshuffling this year as they go back to zone blocking scheme. But when you look at the left side, Jared Veld here is a guy, in my opinion, has future All-Pro written all over him. He's going to be a fixture at that left tackle spot for many years for the Raiders. Now, the movement is going to happen on the interior. You look at Stephen Wisniewski, who had an outstanding year last year, rookie year last year as a guard. He's going to move back to his more natural position, center, in which he played to All-American level at Penn State. The other movement is going to happen with Cooper Carlisle, who spent 12 years as a right guard. He's going to move to the left side to open up room for Mike Breesel, who they bring over from the Houston Texans. So they're going to make these guys fit into this zone blocking scheme. We're going to see if it's going to work. Now, on the right side, to me, there's a battle going to happen between Khalif Barnes, who just got flagged for a penalty right now as I'm talking, and also Joe Barksdale. I think Barksdale will end up probably winning that job, in my opinion, down the line. But Khalif Barnes is probably going to start as the starter. Where I see an issue with the offensive line for the Raiders is depth. They don't have the depth behind these guys. That's something that has to improve in the offseason. The only thing that's missing from the Raiders' defensive line is a pass rushing threat. Right now, they don't have a guy that you have to worry about like, hey, we have to block this guy to stop the pass rush. from coming. They don't have that. They have solid players along the defensive front. Now, the strongest part of their defensive line, in my opinion, is the defensive tackles. Guys like Tommy Kelly and Richard Seymour come to play week in, week out. Now, on the defensive end position, they have some solid guys that can get pressure, but just very solid guys. You saw what happened when Matt Shaughnessy went out with injury last year. The production dropped off. And Lamar Houston is a guy that can play inside. He can play outside. In order for him to move inside, there's a need for a defensive end that's a constant threat coming off the edge. If not, then Lamar Houston is your best out as a defensive end. So keep him out there. Don't move him inside, because you're going to have a hole that's going to be as big as the Grand Canyon. Now, there's some solid depth guys. They bring over Dave Towson from the New York Giants. And also, I'm a big fan of Desmond Bryant. Does a great job when he comes in, brings that energy, and also can rush the passer. Getting Aaron Curry from the Seattle Seahawks mid-season was a huge pickup for the Oakland Raiders. He instantly upgraded their defense. This guy is a traditional read, react, seek, destroy, tackle type of linebacker. Has a lot of speed, and he's in a defense that's conducive to his skill set. Now, I'm still waiting for Rolando McClain to live up to that first-round status. I like him as a player. He has to get his off-the-field issues cleared up. Plus, he's finally healthy, so we should see a different McClain this year in the middle. And they bring over Philip Wheeler from the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work out on the outside. He does bring a lot of speed. But keep an eye on Miles Burris, the 4th-round draft selection out of San Diego State. This guy has tremendous burst off the edge, tremendous pass rusher for the Aztecs in college, and we're going to see how well he can utilize his skill set for the Oakland Raiders. So I'm interested to see his progression through the offseason and the preseason and see how well he does for this ball club. The Raiders don't have a lot of depth at the position, so they need everyone on their roster that plays linebacker to step up and contribute this season. In my opinion, the Raiders have some very solid safeties, more so than they do cornerbacks. And you look at the safety position for the Raiders, Tyvon Branch vastly improved his coverage skills and made a lot of plays last year. And I'm also a big fan of Matt Giordano, a guy that I actually like better than Michael Huff, who's going to be returning from injury. He has to stay healthy in order to remain consistent. Now, on the corner position, you look at Ron Bartell. They bring him over from the St. Louis Rams. The only question I have about him is how he checks out medically. He can definitely play football. This guy's a solid cornerback. And you also look on the opposite side, they bring over Shante Spencer from the 49ers. Kind of was lost in the shuffle with the numbers game out there. And they also have another guy that I'm very impressed with, Chidmi Chekwa, is also returning from injury. So you look at the Raiders corners and you have question marks about the health of these guys. Now, if they check out medically, they can all definitely play. But you also have to have some optimism about the secondary, because they're not just going to be playing man-to-man. They're going to go to a more diversified coverage set, and that's just going to help out this secondary as a whole. You have to be optimistic about what type of progression Carson Palmer is going to make in year 2 with this Oakland Raiders ball club, with these young receivers, these young talented receivers. The Raiders defense can play dominant in spurts, so that can be improved with more discipline. And you also have to like the special teams. We didn't talk about that, but Sebastian Janikowski, Shane Leckler, the return game with Denoris Moore, and also Jacoby Ford. There's a lot of reasons for optimism for the Oakland Raiders. A cause for concern has to be the coaching staff. Dennis Allen is a defensive guy, and the reason why this is a concern for me is because defensive-minded head coaches always limit the offense. And you look at Greg Knapp going back to the zone blocking scheme, which is not conducive to the skill sets of what they already have on the roster. So you have a little bit of concern here for the Raiders moving forward this season. But I think these guys finished 4th in the AFC West. They'll be improved over last year. You won't see a gang of penalties. You won't see a ton of mistakes. You'll see continuity. You'll see efficient offense. You'll see sound defense. And that right there is going to be a better Oakland Raiders team. They may still finish with an 8-8 record, but this is a tough division. So this division can go either way. There's no real separation from the first or the fourth. So the Raiders can come into play week in, week out and find themselves first in the AFC West, but I have them finishing 4th. There's still some questions with depth with this team, and also questions at certain positions like defensive end, linebacker. There are some questions that have to be answered, but overall, this is a very solid team, maybe a year away from being where they want to be in the playoffs.